Hello and welcome. How are you today? Doing well. So, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I have a itch on my back. I have recorded this about 3 or 4 different times, and I cannot tell you that this is the last time I'm gonna do it, but I am gonna tell you that this is the one you're going to see because I believe that it's good enough. Now, we are going to learn how to create a content library and some of the ways that you can utilize this content library within Clickup. Is Clickup the only program that you can do this on? No. Could you do this on Trello? Yes. Or Asana or some of the other programs that are Monday.com is one. There are a number of different options available on the market, and really it's just about picking the one that's best for you. And so today I'm going to kind of show you how I've been using it, how I've been doing it, and what's working. I will tell you that I have done this numerous different ways within Clickup over the last couple of months, and most of them have become overwhelming very quickly. I will tell you a couple of things about me so that we can figure out if we're on the same page or not. I'm a very spontaneous person. I don't do anything in my creativity comes in bursts. It does not, that light is driving me nuts. My creativity comes in bursts. It is not something that I can just force myself to sit down and write a bunch of content. It just doesn't work that way. So for me, batching happens when the creative juices are flowing mystically and magically, but it's not something where I can schedule it and say, okay, on Monday, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna pound out 17 different posts. It's not gonna happen that way. And generally, even if I'm able to do that, what ends up happening is that content just sits in the content library and it never actually sees the light of day. Unless, right when I've still got that momentum, I go ahead and schedule all that stuff out. So that's tip number 1, really, is that if you go through a period or you are one of those people who can actually sit down, which God bless you, if you are one of those people who can just sit down and pound out content, great. Make sure that you're scheduling it at the time or within a couple of days of doing all that writing so that it doesn't just sit on your computer and collect dust and keep you from getting clients. I'm really good at that. The other thing that I would say is that you want to make sure that you're staying within a certain message. So one thing that I have personally started doing is recognizing that when I'm scheduling out content, it needs to follow certain categories. And once you figure out what those categories are for yourself, what I would personally recommend doing is having one main category and then maybe a subcategory or 2, possibly 3. And then if you have, or you can have 2 main categories and then a subcategory or 2. What does that look like? It looks like I am a business strategist, and so there are times where I'm going to talk about funnel strategy, which encompasses social media strategy. But when I'm talking about funnel strategy specifically, I'm talking about email marketing. So that falls under funnel strategy. Social media falls under funnel strategy, things like that. And then I have a secondary category, and a second main category, and that's bookkeeping, because I also do bookkeeping work for entrepreneurs and small businesses. So those are going to be my two categories, and then the subcategories under the main business strategy heading. And then there's mindset as well, because I feel like if you're, for lack of a better way to put this, if you don't have your mind right, nothing else is going to follow. You are going to run up against blocks where even if you're able to write, you're not going to be able to put it out because your mind is telling you that you're wrong. Your mind is going to tell you that you're terrible at this, among so many other things. And so mindset kind of pulls all of that stuff together. And it's the glue. In my opinion, mindset is the glue that makes all of the other stuff come together and work well. So that is my thought process on the matter. And I think the sun is about to peek out of the clouds. And that's amazing. However, it's going to be very bright. So give me just 1 second. I'm going to pull that close just a touch, and I'll be right back and we'll get started. Thanks. Okay, still pretty bright, but not as terribly bright as it was a second ago. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Again, this is not perfect. This is a little bit disorganized still. And as stated, here's what I found when I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory. For the last year-ish, I've been trying to find the best ways to utilize Clickup. I started doing meal planning about a month ago now, and we were doing it, or I was doing it in Clickup. Found that when I was out and about and doing my grocery shopping, it was not at all user-friendly. And I am one of those people who likes to pull a meal in and then pull it back out kind of thing, and kind of move things around really easily. And found that Trello over the last week has been the better way to manage all of that. The cool thing about using a system on a computer is that if, in our case, we like to research 4 or 5 different recipes and then make them our own. And the best thing about that is I can track all of those things and then write in whatever edits I've made. So I can actually write the real recipe that I ended up using after I've played around with it a little bit, and maybe made a recipe once or twice. I can create a whole new card and then delete the old cards. But I'm finding that I did my grocery shopping this week and everything was in Trello, and it was like bang, bang, boom, I was in and I was out, and it was so fast and so much easier to do. So I think that Clickup is a great tool, but sometimes the simplest option really genuinely is the best option. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that each one, that Clickup is the best tool for using as a content library. And in fact, over the next probably month or so, I'm going to use them side by side in a little contest, maybe once or twice a week, where I pull content or I make content in both spaces and see how they function in this way. And then I'll come back and I'll do another one of these recordings, which you will get sent because you're on the mailing list, to update you as to which one is best. That said, I'm going to go ahead and actually share now, even though I said I was going to do that 5 minutes ago, and let's get started. Okie doke. All right, so I'm actually showing you my full content library, but I'm not going to open any of these up. So here are all of the things that I've got in here. The way that I personally do this is I tend to write, like I told you earlier, I'm very spontaneous, so I tend to write content, and then I write out content, and then after the fact, I copy it and I put it into here. So I'm not actually writing the content in here most of the time. Like I said, every now and then I get a wild hair at my nose and I decide to get in here and sit and actually write out content. But when I'm putting this stuff in groups, that's hard because I can't schedule it out in advance. So, and then the cool thing is that after you have this stuff in here, then you can recycle your content a lot better, which that's the whole purpose of having the content library, in my opinion, is that you can go back in and revisit it and recycle your content. And the way that I would choose to do that if I were you is, let's say I have this promo right here, which you can see this right here is what's called a tag. When you're in here and you've got this situated, I have done it, like I said, a couple of different ways. For a while there, I had all of the months set up, and then I had actual like scheduled content in there, and that didn't work out very well. That and it was just really overwhelming to try to keep track of. So for me, not having a specific post that I'm trying to do on a specific date and blah 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 blah, that just doesn't work for me. But using these tags, you can kind of keep track of things like how well did this post do. So you could have a tag that says you got over 200 comments on it, or over 100 comments, or even just whatever your measure of success is, 20 comments, 30 comments. That's a lot, to be honest with you. 200 is asinine. I used that for one of my other videos. It's rarely ever happened, in my opinion. But what you can do then is also come in here, and under your subtasks, you could actually put in here what exactly you have to do for this post, create your workflows, if you will, and do them. And then add checklists as well. Now, this is where I think ClickUp gets a little hairy. It allows you to have subtasks, right? And that's grand. And it allows you to set a priority and a due date. But if we were to come out of here and we were to go into time, and I decide to do this number, actually, I need to actually put something in there first so you can see what I'm about to show you. Let's go back into my list view real quick. And I go in here and I create a task. I'm going to go write full post, and attach guide, make video. See how these are, other than the attach guide, it's not really specific. Okay, now watch what happens when I go to time. One, they don't show up until I do this. And then they don't show up underneath the actual item. And that is incredibly frustrating, because this makes it really hard to figure out, well, which post does this go to? Even if I wanted to schedule this out, I can't, because it's not going to tell me where it is. So if I go here and I do make a video, well, make a video of what? Until I open this up, oh, okay, that was for the chart accounts guide. And that's great, except why? Why is it not showing up here under chart of accounts guide? Anyway, this is just a small frustration I have. And then again, if you don't have that clicked, it's not going to show up at all. And it just makes it really, really complicated, in my opinion. So that's an issue I have with Clickup, and why I'm not actually utilizing this, the subtasks as well as I probably could or should. And so we're going to archive all these things. I don't think I can archive them. Okay. Your checklist, oh, that, and if you are on mobile, this does not, and your service is not spectacular, these subtasks, it's really hard to get them to go away. So it's just not a really great system. Checklists are great, except that you can assign them, but you can't do a due date. So right post. This is awesome. But I can't do anything other than assign it to a person. And so there is a little bit of limitation in all of this. Again, I'm going to be really honest with you. There is no system that is absolutely perfect. And the system will only work as well as you do. But there are things that are frustrating and don't work the way you would hope for them to work. And then if it's a recurring task, you can set a repeat task right there, and it works. That part works really, really well. The other thing I'm going to mention, that if you do set a recurring task, the alert that you get will not show you any subtasks that are present. You will have to actually get into the app in order to see those. And let's see. So using tags is really important and something that's really, really helpful. The way that I would do this, if it were me, is I would give it a name. And then I would also just write your post in here. At the bottom, you can add pictures, you can add attachments. So the cool thing is that anything that you are utilizing, if it's a Pinterest image, if it's a normal image, etc., for like social media, you can attach all of those things. Now, there are a couple of different ways that you can keep track of where you put this. The cool and nice thing about this is that it's going to timestamp it over here. So if you're using the comments to track where and what time you've posted something, that's really the best way to do that. And if you were to notice that this got quite a bit of commentary. So we got 2 inquiries, let's say, and 5 comments. Okay, so it's going to say just now, but as you can see here, over time, now I know when I go back to repost this in a couple of months that we should get a good amount of response. And what you can also do is track what times you're getting better responses, so that as a strategist, I'm going to go back and look at what's working for you. And over the course of, let's say, 3 months or 90 days, we're going to look at what are the best times for you to be posting and for your audience, because there are 1,000,001 articles that all say different things, but the reality is that your audience, the people you're speaking to, are going to have a specific time set that they are online, and it could be different. It could be different in the summer than it is in the winter. They could be on earlier in the evening in the wintertime, and then later in the evening during the summertime, just because people are outside. Like, but these are all things that you're not going to know unless you're looking at them and you're actually tracking this stuff. So if it's like you posted at 2:45 and nobody commented, nobody saw the post, and nobody was really, there was no interaction whatsoever, you know that 2:45 in the afternoon is not a good time for you to post, and maybe push it back to 3 and see if you get better comments. Or in the summertime, 3 o'clock would probably be better than in the wintertime or in the fall when everybody's picking their kids up from school. You see what I'm saying? And then if you're on I'm in Mountain Time right now, and so Mountain Time is 2 hours from East Coast time right now. So if it's 3 o'clock my time, I'm out getting my kid from school, and on the East Coast it's 5 o'clock, so everybody's making dinner. Nobody's seeing these posts. You see what I'm saying? So we can kind of figure out based on that, like, what are the best times for you to post? And I try to think about the fact of, if it's 7 o'clock here, it's going to be 5 o'clock on the East Coast. Or I'm sorry, 9 o'clock. And it's in California, it's going to be 6. So I try to adjust my time frames to when the folks on the East Coast are commuting, because I figure the people on the West Coast and people here will catch it as they are getting up as well. If it gets some attention by the East Coast folks, it will stick around for my West Coast folks as well. These sorts of things are all parts of strategy, right? And again, you're not going to know what works for you until you start tracking it, until you start looking at those numbers and figuring that stuff out. So it is really, really valuable information to keep track of when you've posted, using this comment section in particular, because it timestamps all of the stuff. You could put that into your subtasks, you could put that as a checklist, but then there's no way to really track what time things are happening. And I think that's a really crucial metric that you really want to keep track of. And then how it did. You see what I mean? So I'm going to go ahead and delete this because I don't want to confuse myself. And then another reason to have this tag of promotional is that if I go back in and I say, okay, I would like to look up, I need to post a promo this week, and which promo which one do I want to do? And then what we can do is go back in here and we will go only by promotional. But I'm going to go through my entire content library. And now I can see all of the promo, no matter which category, and all the categories that it's under, right? Because these projects in here are my categories, or things that I need, like hashtags for Instagram. And then this is just my podcast that I've published, the different podcast episodes that I've published, so that I can get people to listen to the older stuff by re-promoting it every couple of weeks or couple of months. But this is how you would do that. You say, okay, well, we're going to do how to click up for content, webinar promo. And then the other thing is to remove these tags. Or if it's something that's evergreen, like this is going to be evergreen, I could go ahead and do that again and try to get more people on my list, things like that, or doing a social strategy promo or something to that effect. I know exactly what posts I have that are promotional because they're tagged. And And I would be really, really strategic about your tags. You don't want to be willy-nilly and just throwing tags out like crazy, because you're going to get confused, and then it's going to get overwhelming, and you're going to overcomplicate it, and then you're not going to use the system the way you need to. So just be really, really intentional with those tags and keep as few of them as you possibly can. Okay. And then we're going to clear that filter, and we'll go into social planning and strategy. I think that I've covered most of the things. If you would like to, you could certainly come in here and say, all right, I'm going to post this thing on Friday in here. This is not going to schedule your post for social media. You're still going to have to do that. But if you wanted to like lay out the month, this would be the way to make that happen. Okay. And then you can just pull that back out and it'll go back there. And then if you were to click on one, it'll open up and you can see your whole post. And oh, this is a different way. So there was a group that I posted this in, and I posted it on 1/27/20. The downside, and as you can see, it did timestamp it. So it'll still timestamp. I just find that sometimes it's not reliable for actually adding the timestamp for something that I've done. It does not always happen. It's supposed to, but it doesn't always happen. Whereas if I leave a comment, it's damn well going to be in there, right? So that's the only thing I would caution you about, is don't rely on it to work when you add something to that checklist, because that doesn't always happen. Okay, so what else can I tell you about? How would I go about this? So I, when I cleaned out the whole whole of February that I had put together, and none of it got actually posted, but that was my fault. That wasn't the system's fault. That was my fault. But when I did that, I had to, was just trying to clean it out. And so I have this need to categorize section here. So what I would personally probably do is have a category like this, and once a week, you're just throwing all the posts you do that week in here, and then going through at the beginning of the following week or the beginning of the next day or whatever, and actually categorize them. Or you could be really, really, really dedicated and do it at the right time. It's totally up to you, however you want to do this. So it's completely, again, this is your system. Do what you want and what works well for you. And this is kind of how I've come, or where I've come to anyway. Guys, I believe that this is all I've got for you today. I don't want to overwhelm you. I don't want to freak you out, but this is a nice little walkthrough on how this works. And so I'll show you what I would do to categorize these. You just drag and drop them. That under there. And most of this is going to be under that. But anyway, I think that Clickup is great. I think that there are a lot of really great things that it does. Is it the be all and end all? No. Could you recreate this type of thing in Trello or in Asana? Absolutely. The thing, ClickUp really is like Trello and Asana got married, and then both of them got on steroids. It does so many things and does so much that I am not even doing and I don't need to do. So I would say it really depends on your business and how you want to run things. But make it simple. Make it very, 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 very simple. There's a saying, it was an army general, I think he said, keep it simple, stupid. Like, and I think that's me. But really, genuinely, the easier the system is to use, the better I think that you will do it at actually utilizing it. And like I said, I'm going to run a little side-by-side comparison with Trello and how I think I would utilize that. And then I will kind of let you know. I'll do another video like this on how to do it in Trello, and then I'll tell you which one I find myself gravitating toward more and which one I think is the best route to go. So I hope you have a good day. I'm gonna go and I'll talk to you all later. P.S. If you are in need of strategy sessions, I would love to work with you. One thing that I pride myself on is sitting down with people and really making things work for them. My strategy sessions are $112. What that includes is 60 minutes with me, and you will get a PDF of just basically a rundown of what we talked about. If you feel that you would actually watch and could use the recording, I will make that available for a short period of time after our call. And if you also includes a PDF like checklist, to-do list of all the things that you said that you were going to do on our call. So during the call, we're going to nail down your strategy. We're going to come up with a to-do list, and then you'll get that to-do list. If you are interested in having multiple calls or follow-up calls, we will create a custom package for you. I don't believe that there is a one-size-fits-all approach to really anything, but these calls in particular, some people want a strategy call at the beginning of every quarter. Some people want them once a month. It's really, really up to you. So I don't want to box people in. And so let's create a custom package for you. And there are also support options that don't involve calls. So if you would like a certain amount of support via voice recording with Voxer, we can do that. If you are more of a let me think it through and type at you kind of person, we can create an email support system as well. Again, very, very customizable based on your needs, and that is something that you and I are going to connect with and really, really discuss on our call, which is the best way to support you. How would you like to be supported? Does that make sense? So anyway, that's what I'm offering. I'm also going to be offering in the next couple of months 2 opportunities to connect with me and work with me in a group setting. So one is just going to be for life stuff and life strategy, led by me, and no more than 6 people per group, 4 to 6 people per group, and you all are going to be like-minded. The idea is, and that could mean, because there's nobody like you, that you are getting me at a group price, and it's just one-on-one, you and me. So that's entirely possible. However, my goal is to create a group of 4 to 6 people, and we connect and work on whatever it is you need to work on. So I'm going to have a business group, and that is simply for business owners or people who are trying to start a business. We will cover strategy, we will cover life stuff as it relates to being a business owner, and whatever you need to work on to improve your business, make you successful, and move the needle forward, your mindset, stuff like that. So we'll have monthly calls, and then there will also be a resource library that you have access to. The pricing for both of those, I haven't nailed it down completely, but it will be less than $30 a month for both of them. So less than a couple cups of coffee. All right. Have a good day, guys. I'm going to go. Got a raging headache. Have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you all later. Okay? See ya. Bye.